And welcome back, hope you're all well, keeping safe. So what are we doing today? Really simple, really easy, banging, full of flavour. We're going to do some cinnamon rolls, cinnamon buns, really simple ingredients. Cinnamon is like that really weird thing, so we associate cinnamon with like Christmas, the lovely smells that go off in candles. We relate to cinnamon in maybe curry food, Indian food. But today we're keeping it totally sweet. We're going with the bacon side of things today. All right, so bacon hats on. And yeah, let's get baking. Okay, so cinnamon bun base. What we're going to need for this, which I'm going to go through in a second, is our core ingredients, which you'll find on the Bistro pack online. I've got a food mixer. Again, you can do it by hand. It's totally your preference. All right, so let's have a look at the ingredients. Let's get them in the mixing bowl, and then we'll move it on to the next stage. Okay, so I think as we go through these, we'll put them straight in. So, as per recipe, I've got our softened butter or softened margarine. All right, so we're just gonna plonk that in. Okay, and then I've got 2 medium-sized eggs, straight in. What we're gonna go next? So next, we've got our sugar. So I've got some granulated sugar. You can use caster sugar. Exactly the same in with our sugar. And what next? Our milk, which makes it with the margarine and the eggs, and the milk makes it, gives us that enriched dough. And then we've got 2 types of flour. So we've got our strong flour and we've got our plain flour. So we'll put our plain flour in first, like so. And then strong flour. Again, as I said, you can do all this by hand. And then we've got our yeast. All right, I think I may have mentioned it before. If I didn't, I apologise. So we got our dried, you can 2 types of dried yeast. You've got a fast acting one, a slow acting one, or you can use fresh yeast as well. So we'll pop that in. And you get the little tiny little sachets, which are really helpful as well. Okay, so into your mixing bowl or into your bowl that you're using to mix it. We'll turn that on. Right, so that's going now. Our dough's starting to mix. So we've got our eggs mixed with our sugar, with our butter, with our flour, with our yeast, and that's all going to start mixing together and working to form our dough. All right, so we'll leave that for, depending if you're using a mixer or you're doing it by hand, for about 4, 5, 6 minutes until we get our dough, and we'll come back to it in a minute. Okay, so now we can turn this off. We've been going for about 3 or 4 minutes. Just take our dough hook off. Scrape that down. Okay. Right, out we come. So I'm going to use my scraper. I'm going to show you the consistency of what this dough should be. I'm going to drop a tiny little bit of flour down on our board to stop sticking. And then out with the dough. So what we're looking for in the dough is we're not looking like for a really tight, almost like bread mix. We're looking for something that's a little bit sticky, a little bit gloopy. And then the reason why we put the flour down is just to stop it completely sticking from the board. So the first stage that we're going to need to do, the proving is seriously important at this stage. So we just want to get it into, knead it back into the middle, turn it over, get it into a little ball. So it's just, you can just see your fingerprint in it, just ever so slightly. Then we take a bowl, tiny little bit of flour in your bowl. Rest your dough mix in. And then what you want to do is you want to grab yourself a cloth, put it over the top. Now we need to let that prove. The proving is massively important. Depending on the temperature of your room, depending on where you're putting it, room temperature slightly above for at least an hour, possibly an hour and a half. So what we're looking for is a double in size. So you take a cloth, put it over the top, and then you should end up with something that's doubled, if not more, in size. All right, so this is really light, really fluffy. This is a little bit sticky, a little bit denser, but that's what we're looking for. It's kind of before and after. So when we've got to that stage, we can knock it back again and we can start to begin our rolling. So you take your dough, knock it back again, drop it back on your board, and there we go. So we've almost taken it back, knocked it back to its original state. All right, so at this stage, flour your board a bit more. Don't want any stickies. A little bit on top. Don't be afraid of the flour. You can put as much flour on as you want. Okay, at this stage, we're kind of looking almost similar. Another little good trick. Use your flour to give yourself a bit of a guide. Whereas remember to turn. I can feel this is quite springy. It's not working against me. It's rolling out just nicely. If you're finding it really, really, really hard to roll out, then it's just far too tight. So the best advice there is to start all again. Okay, but this is what it's all about, learning. Okay, we've got some kind of rectangle going on there. That will do us. In terms of thickness, well, that's probably about 1/2 centimetre, whatever that is. Depth, you can go slightly thinner if you want to. The beauty of this is if you take it as wide as you can, as long as you can, you get a lot more spirals in it. Okay, so we're going to take it to about there. Right, move that slightly to the side. Okay, the next things you will need your softened butter. Now some recipes will tell you to cream the butter and the cinnamon and the sugar together. We're going to do things slightly differently with this one. Okay, so we're going to take our softened butter or margarine, whatever you've got, so you can just see, it's like spreadable, just like margarine in the fridge. Right, so we're just going to take a little bit of that and we want to get all the corners, just like so. So this is an enriched dough, so whether you're using baking margarine, you're using beautiful butter, it's got a lovely, the reason why it's enriched is because it's got that beautiful butter in it. So we go right around the corner. Not to put too much on, because obviously it can slow the cooking process down and make it quite dense. Okay, next, I'm using some Demerara sugar here. You can use brown sugar and you can use golden caster sugar. Just give it a good sprinkle on, like so. There's a little trick I'm going to show you in a minute. Don't worry too much if you've not got in all the nooks and crannies. And then our cinnamon. I'm going to use a shaker, just makes it a little bit more even. Okay, so we're going to go, this is all about the cinnamon. So in with the cinnamon. Nice and liberal. So we've got our dough, we've got our sugar, we've got our butter, and we've got our cinnamon. That's one side. Okay, now grab your rolling pin again and just give it a gentle roll just to compress it down so we don't have loads of leakage. Another way, that way. And as I've been working with the dough, it's kind of shrunk back in a little bit, so this gives us an opportunity just to push it out flat again. There we go. Just a tiny bit more in the corner. Okay, now for the fun part, all right? So we've rolled out our dough, we've put our cinnamon on, put our sugar on. Now I'm going to show you how to roll them and to cut them, all right? So what you will need is obviously your dough with your cinnamon, and you will need a little neat trick. You will need some string. You can use a knife for this process, but you'll see the benefits of using the string. So I'm going to do this reverse, so facing forward. So now bearing in mind you can do this in a tea towel, or in a bit of cling film, just make sure you flour it. But I'm on a floured board, so and all we're going to do is basically roll, so the clean side of the dough is rolling over, and create what we call like a little roulade. And as this rolls over, all the layers, all the spirals in the cinnamon rolls will become evident. All right, so we're looking for like a giant kind of sausage shape, if you like. All right, try and keep it even if you can. Rolling all along, like so. Okay. Right, so, as I said before, you can use a knife. What you do is, when you cut it with a knife or anything else, you kind of press it. So what we're going to use is get Mum or Dad to cut you a little piece of string, obviously clean, and then we're just going to take the string. We're going to wriggle underneath, and then all we're going to do is we're going to overlap. Okay, like so. And then we're going to do like a gentle but swift pull to the middle. All right, show you again. Underneath, a little wriggle, over cross, pull together and pull. All right, and then what that does is, now you can see, when it was rolled out flat, you can see all the layers going round and round in a spiral. All right, so we'll do a couple more. Okay, cross, pinch, pull. Okay, a couple more so I can show you how to put them in the tray. Now the reason I'm showing you putting in the tray is it's quite important in terms of their cooking. Okay, let's go again. Another one, cross, pull, and voila. Okay, so it's as simple as that, all right? So what the knife hasn't done, as I said, it has pushed it and kind of squashed it all together. You can see all the definition of all the spirals. So what we're going to do is, when you put them into the tray, get yourself, I floured this on purpose, okay, this tray. You can use parchment paper, silicone paper, whatever you've got. All right, when we place them in our trays, all right, we don't want to scrunch them up too tight, but we just want them just slightly nestled in. Tiny bit of a gap, because obviously what they're going to do is, as they prove, they're going to expand, okay? But you don't want them in too tight, all right? So literally just keep going with that theory. Okay? So, once you've got yourself a full tray and you're all cut and you're all sorted, preheat your oven. You want it at about 160, 165. Before you do that, obviously, let them prove again. So you need to let them prove, double in size again. So preheat your oven. While your oven's preheating, prove again so they double up in size. Get them in the oven about 160 for about 20, 22 minutes. All right, until they're just got, you don't want a completely golden brown, just a light golden on them. And then you can check them when they come out of the oven, pull them out, and then we'll dress them with some icing glaze. Okay, right, nearly time to get the kettle on. Okay, so our cinnamon buns, been in the oven, they are now out. I've placed them on the board. They've probably been out for about 10, 15 minutes. Preferably if you can get, before we ice them, which we're going to do in a minute, if when they come out of the oven, literally let them rest for like 2-3 minutes and then get your icing on. So, where we're going to go with that stage is, we've got ourselves some icing sugar, and we've got a little bit of milk and a little bit of vanilla essence or vanilla extract in there. So very simply, and you always have to be really careful with this, because people tend to make like an icing and they go kind of gung-ho with the liquid, whether it be water, lemon juice or milk, and then you end up with like really slimy, really runny thing. So only just put a tiny little bit in. Give it a little mix. If you put too much in, you're just going to be going backwards and forwards with icing sugar, backwards and forwards with your liquid. All right, so give it a real good mix. Let's just move that over for a second. Real good mix. You can use a whisk, obviously, but I'm only doing a small amount. So. Okay, so we'll do a pizza moment, some I prepared earlier, and then all we want to do is, again, if you can do these while they're slightly warmer, even better. And then you can use a piping bag, and you can use a little bottle, you can use whatever you want. I'm just going to use a spoon and just do a little drizzle over the top. Don't be afraid of it, because the great thing about it is it's going to stick to it. It's going to be lush, a little bit of sugar over the top, doesn't matter where it goes. One more. There we go. There you go. There we have our cinnamon buns. with our vanilla icing. Take care.